Hello patrons, this is Big Lair here. Let's see, I think it's still the 15th where I am. This is Friday. Let me just check. Some days I have a lot of stuff going on and I kind of lose track of the days. Yep, it's still Friday the 15th. It's about 11 p.m. at night. And this is going to be a woo-woo topic video here. A couple of days ago, I put a video out on YouTube and it was about orgone devices. You know, orgonite, like, where's my camera? Yeah, one of these devices, you know, something like this. Then I talked about orgone and gave a brief description on how to make it, what's, the ingredients and how to make it. And then I talked about its effects on reptilians. Now, I understand that not everybody believes in reptilians, the idea of reptilians. All I can say, maybe it's one of those things like UFOs. You have to see one to really believe it, or in aliens, right? You see it with your own eyes and you believe it. So for me, I've had contact with reptilians before. I made a video a number of months ago when I was part of this other group. I put it on YouTube. And if you look on my YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure there's a video, Reptilians. I changed the thumbnail on it, and it'll be in my woo-woo collection. I believe the thumbnail has a picture of a lizard on it now, just to make it easier to see. Not like a creepy lizard, like a real, lizard in the desert or something like that. So anyway, so for me, reptilians are as real as all of you are, because I've seen them with my own eyes. I've interacted with them. And I should say that at this point, I don't have any ill will toward any of them. We did have they had differences with me. I didn't have any differences with them. They came after me. And in the end, we worked out an agreement where they will not mess with me and I will not mess with them. A truce, I guess you would call it. So I'll maintain the truce. I have nothing against them, In the end, they're just doing what they think is right, and I'm doing what I think is right. Okay, so I don't have any problem with them, and it seems as though they don't have any problem with me. Now, if there was an individual out there who had a problem with me, and they are a reptilian, I would just say, hey, you better go talk to your boss or whoever your clan leader is, whoever your group leader is, and talk to the higher ups, all right? Because I've already worked out an agreement with your higher up people, so don't give me a hard time or I will give you a hard time. But I'll wait for you to give me a hard time first. And then when it comes down to it, comes down to brass tacks and asses start to get kicked, I'll just go back and talk to the person who made the truce with me, and I'll say, hey, what's going on? You guys didn't keep your end of the bargain up. So that's where that is. I don't think there'll be any problems. We have a good thing going, and I want to keep it going that way. So this video is just to add to the discussion of reptilians, because I put that video out and I had some interesting feedback from people. And I had some really interesting feedback from someone who's quite close to me. And let's see, I will call that person, let's see, I got something on my phone here. I will call this person the Fishing King. This person asked that I refer to him as the Fishing King, which is a very appropriate name, in my opinion. Okay, so the Fishing King, he's been carrying orgone around with him for a number of years. And now, and he's noticed that the same thing that I've noticed with orgone, for whatever reason, these orgone devices, especially these smaller ones, like this one I just showed you, right? These smaller ones. For some reason, these small devices, they interrupt the reptilians' ability to hold their human form. I don't know what mechanism that is or why that is, but it's true. It disrupts their ability to maintain their form. Now, interestingly enough, when they lose their ability to maintain that, you'll see it first in their face, usually their eyes. Their eyes will be the first thing to go. Number one, we have a pupil and an iris in our eye here, right? Their pupil and iris will turn into like a snake eye. It'll have a real thin slit, and the rest will turn black usually. Sometimes their whole eye, even the white part, will turn black, and you'll see this slit there. So they'll lose the ability to control their eyes first. And then it seems to spread from that area. And you'll see like the scaly skin and whatnot. Sometimes along with their eyes, their teeth, you'll really see their teeth kind of come out, these long teeth. Sometimes humans have like kind of a long canine teeth. Well, imagine, all of your teeth looking kind of jagged like a canine tooth. That's kind of how it looks. So for whatever reason, that's the part of their visage, that's the part of their looks that goes first. So that's an interesting thing. Now, of course, it brings me to the point where they have developed themselves in such a way that they can maintain a human form. They look completely human on the outside, which is quite amazing when you think about it. If they have that ability, what other abilities do they have? Well, they're quite psychic. They're good at reading minds. I was on a train one time. I think I've talked about this before. Got on a train, and I'm tall. I'm much taller than the average Japanese person. So I'm on a train in Japan, and I can look down the train at about 7 train cars worth of people, and I'm the tallest person. And I just felt like, there's reptilians on the train, and I just mentally said, where are you, slimy bastards? And immediately 2 people spun around, and they were in the same car as me, but they were, I don't know, we'll say 10 meters away from me, maybe 8 to 10 meters away. And they spun around and locked eyes with me and gave me the dirtiest look. Isn't that odd? Wouldn't that be an odd coincidence? You say something in your mind mentally looking for a certain type of individual or life form, and then 2 people immediately turn around, both of them, and like just zoom in and give you this, if I could, I'd smash your face in look. And then mentally we had a bit of a conversation, and then they turned around. And after that, I just didn't keep track of where they were after that. So, which brings me to the discussion of, okay, so reptilians are able to hold a human form, a physical, external form. They have psychic abilities. They can read minds. Okay, when we have thoughts in our minds, it's like we're broadcasting, like we're a radio broadcast. It's going out into the air, into the ether. And, some psychic people can pick up on this, and the reptilians also pick up on this. And I would imagine they can pick up emotions just as well. All of my dealings with reptilians, I've had some people, I've told this story to a number of psychics that I know, energy workers. And once in a while, people will say, like, weren't you scared? No, I wasn't at all. I was pissed off, actually. So for whatever reason, dealing with reptilians does not bother me. It just ticks me off, Now, if they were cool and came up to me and said, oh, hey, by the way, I'm reptilian and I don't want any trouble, man, and, let's just get along while we're here doing X, Y, Z together, I'd be cool with that. I'd be totally cool with that. But if there was, negativity or negative actions thrown my way, then that makes me upset very quickly. And I'm really an easygoing person. I am so easygoing. You wouldn't, you can't imagine how easygoing I am, and patient. People always tell me how patient I am. So for me to get immediately like boom, just like to be upset with someone is quite rare. Okay, so so they've got this ability, right? They can hold a different physical form. Externally, they've got psychic abilities. Well, how does this happen? Were they born that way? I haven't figured that out. If they're born a reptilian and then assume a human form, or if they look for a human and then they take over that person. Now, I say this, this is like a mental thought exercise for me. Which one is it? I thought it would be, well, it has to be they're born a reptilian, and then for whatever reason they pick someone and they just take on that person's look, or they create a new look for themselves. That's what I thought. However, talking with the Fishing King, he told me about an episode where he met and dealt with someone that he and I both know from our childhood. So we knew this person from our childhood. So I can remember this person that he's talking about probably when the person was 9 or 10. From the age of 9 or 10, and I would see this person around my city up until the age of early 20s. Okay, this person went into the military and then came out of the military, and maybe I saw the person once or twice. Didn't really talk with this person because the person was older than I was, a number of years older, but knew who the person was, knew the family, right? Knew the family. And when I was a kid, I used to see ghosts a lot. I used to see a lot of stuff, but I never saw anyone that looked like a reptile ever. So I would have to say that this person was born a human and lived as a human at least until their time in the military. Now, why do I say at least until their time in the military? Well, a lot of weird things happen in the military, you know. So I can say probably until this person graduated high school, more than likely they were a human, not possessed or taken over by a reptilian. However, the Fishing King told me he had an interaction with this person, and he was best friends with this person's younger brother. So the Fishing King had opportunities to go to their house to interact with this older brother over a number of years. So it wasn't like he didn't know the person. You know, he was good friends with this person's younger brother, and maybe once or twice went fishing together with this person. So there'd be, you know, no animosity. There'd be no negative memories of being together. So the Fishing King is at his place of work, and this other person comes for a certain reason, and the Fishing King sees this person and says, "Oh, wow, that's so-and-so's older brother. I haven't seen him for years." Now, the Fishing King is carrying 2 Orgone pendants on his person, in his pockets, and walks up to this person to say, "Hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in years. How's your younger brother doing?" Well, this person, immediately the eyes change into, and the Fishing King said his eyes became completely black, but with these yellow slits. And the color of his face looked kind of grayish. It looked strange, you know. And he realized, holy crap, this is a reptilian. And in his mind, he said that to himself, oh my God, this guy's brother's a reptilian. And this person who was, you know, at the workplace of the Fishing King to do a specific job just suddenly said, I have to go, and immediately left. And during the whole encounter, the other person was unable to maintain their human eyes. And the demeanor was not that of the person that the Fishing King knew, and the looks were different. So the Fishing King said to me after watching my Orgone video and the mention of reptilians is that, maybe this person was possessed or taken over at a certain age by a reptilian. So that led me to think, Now, I've met people in my life where I met someone, and you know, when you know someone for a while, you understand their personality, how they react to things, the language they use, you know, words they commonly use. speech patterns. And for me, for some reason, I never forget a person's face, and I never forget their, how can I say it, their gait. You know, gait as in how a person walks, how a person moves. If I've met someone, I could see them, I met them one time and had a chance to see them walk. I could spot them a year later at the shopping mall, and just from them walking. If I saw them from the back, I could say, hey, isn't that so-and-so I met a year ago? So I really hone in, I really zoom in on people's physical appearance. And because I've been a teacher for a number of years, I'm also very aware of the language that people use, especially when they're speaking English. The way they speak, you know, their mannerisms, the whole 9 yards, anything to do with speech and how they carry themselves, their facial expressions, all of that, for whatever reason, boom, just gets like locked into my hard drive, and I never seem to forget it. So I'm also very good at spotting when something is wrong with someone because of this. So I've met people, you know, over my life where I thought to myself, this person's different. What's going on? I never made the connection until talking to the Fishing King. And I thought, wow, that would explain a lot of people's sudden change in character. Possibly taken over or possessed by a reptilian entity. And if that was the case, well then, you know, the original person probably wouldn't know, or they're just like a prisoner in their own mind, or maybe they're just taken out of the equation completely. I have no idea. However, in my mind now, it is a possibility that, oh, these people that I knew who suddenly changed their character, sorry, I shook my table there, they suddenly changed their character and they seem like a different person. That's most likely what happened. Yeah. Okay, so that was pretty interesting, I thought. Thank you to the Fishing King for that. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to interview the Fishing King. He's had some pretty interesting stories, or he has, I should say not had, he has some very interesting stories about carrying Orgone devices with him and things that have happened to him. He's got numerous stories about it. Another story he told me, and sorry, I had a thing on my phone come up. Another story he told me is about, he thought it was missing time. And then he and I recently had a conversation about it. And I don't think it's missing time as much as, I think it's he was able to move into an alternate reality. And at the Fishing King's previous workplace, he had this happen, I think he said 6 to 10 times. I'll lowball it just in case I'm forgetting. I'm not, you know, I'm not remembering it correctly, but at least 6 times, and we'll say up to 10 times, to where he was doing his job, and where he worked as kind of a large facility, things get moved around, and so he was aware of where things are and what needs to be done. And on more than a handful of episodes, you know, he's looking at something in this area of the facility, saying, yep, here it is, got paperwork involved, hand the paperwork off, go somewhere, come back to deal with this material. It's gone. It's gone within a matter of minutes. And when this happened, and then the Fishing King had enough presence of mind to start looking at his watch a lot, because he thought it was missing time in the beginning, and he would look at his watch. And there was one episode where he looked at his watch. It was, you know, for example, 10:20 in the morning. He did some stuff, so maybe a minute had passed, went somewhere, came back, the stuff is gone. Gone from the facility, looks back at his watch, now it's 10:10. What? So it was 10 minutes in the past, right? And the stuff is gone. And it had it in all of his episodes had to do with things disappearing. Now, he worked at a large facility. So, you know, can you imagine if you worked at, imagine working at Walmart. You're in the warehouse or something, and now you've got a big pallet of 55-inch LG TVs, and you got to take them and put them in the store. Huge pallet of these things. You know, we're talking some serious size and weight here. And you look at them, yep, they're right here. I got my forklift ready. Well, it's break time. I'm going to go, you know, use the restroom, hit the break room, have a cup of coffee, be back in 15 minutes. You come back 15 minutes later, all the TVs are gone. So then you search all over the warehouse, takes you 30 minutes. Finally, someone in a different part of your warehouse calls and says, hey, you know, I'm over here in the pet food section. Who put this big pallet of 55-inch LG TVs here? It's in the way. What? No, they were just over here. Stuff like that happened to this individual. So I personally think, this is just my my psychic impression of listening to the story and talking with the Fishing King, that these possibly these Orgone devices were helping him to access alternate realities. So not only was he, you know, slipping into an alternate reality, but then he's slipping back into his present one. So maybe something happened where he didn't even know it. He slips into an alternate reality and does part of his job, and for whatever reason slips back out, doesn't know it, and now he's in a different situation. So that's my take on it. I'm not sure. It's just my guess, my educated guess at this point. My opinion could change if I had more information. So I'm not saying that if you have Orgone devices, you're going to be slipping into an alternate reality, or you're going to have like time shifts or missing time. I'm not saying any of that. However, I think the Fishing King has probably some very advanced abilities, psychic or otherwise abilities that probably even mainstream people, you know, when I say mainstream people, what I mean is that, you know, most of us understand if you say someone is psychic, or someone's an energy worker, or a healer, or an empath, or, you know, telekinesis. We have a number of words that we all understand. That's what I'm talking about. But I think what the Fishing King is dealing with, he has abilities above and beyond those words that we use. So I'm not saying that, you know, if you get Orgone devices or put them around your house, you're going to have all this weird stuff happen. No, not at all. Because I've had, you know, Orgone devices for 20 years. I haven't had anything strange happen. In fact, I think they've protected me from a lot. And the energy from these has probably helped me in my psychic development and my development as a spiritual being. And remember, I think, my opinion is that all of us are spiritual beings having a human existence. Okay? We are spiritual beings having a human existence. I do not believe we are human beings trying to have a spiritual existence. I think that is wrong. It's the opposite. We are spiritual beings trying to have a human existence. So the Orgone, the positive energy from the Orgone devices, I think has helped me spiritually. So that's my take on just something I wanted to add for my patrons here. A little bit of woo-woo for you, a little bit to think about, something to chew on. So what am I saying? I'm saying Orgone can affect reptilians to the point where they can't maintain their physical external human form. And I'm thinking maybe Orgone devices for those people who have psychic abilities or latent psychic abilities, you know, you haven't developed them yet or they haven't come out yet. Orgone may give you a little push to help you develop yourself even faster and farther than you would have without them. So that's just my musings on Orgone. Okay, You guys have a great week. It's Friday here. Looking forward to the weekend. Everybody take care.